applicant, owner, someone else connected to the project, or a community member or neighboring property owner. So we'll start here with Mike Ruhlman.
Hi, yeah, Mike Rollman. I'm with Good Fire Design, and I represent the client side here for Mercy McCauley High School.
Okay, great. Welcome. I see we have Bridget Foley here.
Hi there, I'm Bridget Foley. I am the president of Mercy McCauley High School.
Okay, welcome.
Thanks.
I see we have someone under T. Hirschner, is that right? If you could unmute for me.
Okay. Tim Hirschner here representing Mercy McCauley as a zoning consultant.
Okay, great. Welcome. And then we have someone on an iPhone, Marty Weldeshover. You could unmute for me, sir.
Hello?
Hi,
Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. Marty Weldis, I'm property owner next to Mercy McCauley High School.
Okay, great. Welcome. All right. We have Kate Meehan here from the planning department. Welcome, Kate.
Yes, good morning.
And finally, we have two individuals from Sinorama Lawrenceburg.
Yep, Liz Salisbury here with Mike Fogel.
Did you say Gwen Salisbury?
Liz.
Liz, could you spell your last name for me?
Salisbury.
Okay. And the other
Mike
gentleman?
Fogel.
Mike Fogel.
Fogle, F-O-G-L-E.
Okay. All right. Welcome. And you all, I assume, are on the applicant side here?
Correct. Yep. Contractor for the signage.
Okay, great. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I need to read through our hearing script. This is just going to cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll begin. So this is the October 1st, 2025 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. Again, my name is David Sturkey. I'll be presiding over the hearing today. The case before us is case number ZHUV250009. That's 6000 Oakwood Avenue. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any other parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any other party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing unless there has been some writing submitted prior to this hearing, which will also be considered. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. For our purposes here today, I'll allow anyone connected to the project, either from McCauley or as a consultant or the applicant, to talk during that time. So typically I'll hear background about the project, what it is you propose to do, the zoning relief that you're requesting today, and then of course why you think that zoning relief is appropriate and it should be approved. One of you can speak, all of you can speak. It's really up to you how you want to orient your presentation. I'll leave that all up to you. After you've had that opportunity, I'll move to the public. We do have one member of the public here today. I'll give him an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. I'll then hear from the planning department. I'll allow Ms. Meehan to provide any testimony in addition to the staff report that she's prepared in relation to this application. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to that testimony offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or make any comments. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those issues as we go, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay, Last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses here. If you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, doing anything other than just strictly observing, then the zoning code requires that I swear you in. So if that's you, if you could make sure that you are off mute, I'm going to collectively swear all those people in together. If you could raise your right hand, I'll need everyone to answer out loud. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I
do.
I do.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Okay, who's going to be taking the lead here for us on the applicant's presentation? Mr.
That would
Hirschner?
be me.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you, David. I appreciate this opportunity to bring this case in front of the city. Mercy McCauley High School has been working for over a year of the grounds committee in trying to prepare the best signage for the school as submitted in our application for the variance. Mercy McCauley is working to solidify the school in moving forward to a bright future. It's in relative time, a fairly new school rebranded as Mercy McCauley as opposed to the prior McCauley. There are many challenges as schools today have lots of different challenges, and Mercy McCauley is not unique in that they have challenges to move forward in being a healthy, dominant school for the girls in Cincinnati. This application is but one attempt to meet that challenge. And my background, just to be clear, I've been in the industry, zoning, planning, for over 30 years. And at first blush, when I was introduced to this program or application, I was more siding with the staff's report in the sense that this is a lot to be asking. However, as I became educated on what this application is about, what the needs are at the school, I completely fall in line with endorsing what they're applying for and understanding why they need to be successful with this application. It's Mercy McCauley, just the concept that two schools came together in order to survive and move forward and maintain what was McCauley into a new hybrid. I can't underscore it enough that these efforts are paramount in the future of the school. And for the neighborhood to lose this school would be the most impact that could happen. So I keep that in mind. And what we're asking for is certainly the wall sign. We recognize that what the staff has reported is reasonably accurate. I mean, it is accurate. However, there is a new light on what we understood and originally was applied for as informational, and we think of them as directional signs, is now seen by the city staff as ground signs. And so it puts it in a different light. For that reason, we might need to respond differently, but and that might take, if the opportunity is available, a second hearing, because this is new information that's come of light just within the last couple of days. However, that being said, we still strongly believe these are informational signs that are for directional purposes, because there is an issue for transportation at the property. If you're not familiar with it, there is a main driveway that circles around, and if the people don't go in the right direction, they end up back out in the public right of way. So that's the real issue at stake here, is to make sure people see these things. The other issue we have is as everybody knows, more and more people are driving in SUVs. To have a 4 foot tall directional sign doesn't isn't effective when you've got a line of vehicles that are coming to different events at a school. And so we need to be able to have a little bit considerably taller height in these, what I still call directional signs. So
Mr.
that's,
Hirschner, if I
yes.
could, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Go ahead.
I'd like, if I could just maybe in light of some of the comments you just made, um, sort of set the table here about what exactly it is we're talking about. So
Yes.
in the application and the staff report that I see, there's a request for a use variance from the requirement that signs have wall signs have external illumination, and you're proposing an internally illuminated sign is one piece of relief. And the second piece of relief that I see is a variance from the requirement that only one identification sign is permitted, and you're asking for 4 identification signs, including 1 wall sign and 3 ground signs. And the third piece, or the third piece of relief that's being requested is a variance from the size of the sign face. I assume of that larger wall sign there. The requirement is 24 square feet, or the allowance is 24 square feet, and you're asking for a little over 200 square feet. And the fourth piece that I'm seeing is a variance to allow 2 7-foot tall ground signs when 6 feet is the maximum allowed. Does that sound consistent with your understanding and the conversations you said you've had in the last few days with the planning department?
Well, that's what I now, because in fact, last night was the first time I was able to read the report. I did get a voice message and understood that what these 4 points are, but I didn't know the detail. And we the use variance, the number 1, just to drill down into these 4 different zoning relief that staff has said is required. The use variance is purely whether we go with today's technology with an internally LED lit sign on a wall, as opposed to yesterday's technology of floodlighting the wall, wherein it's been proven that the spillage of floodlighting is much greater than today's LED internally lit signage. Now, yes, you can turn the volume up, so to speak, the intensity up on LED lights, but we are open to adjusting that with a rheostat to make sure that there is no light spillage and no net impact to the adjoining neighbors. These are signs that are far removed from the public right of way and adjoining properties. Then to move on to number 2, the numeric variance. Again, this is taking what we understood were directional, or as the city calls them, informational signs, and taking those 3 signs and turning them to an identification sign. The way I understand the zoning code is you're allowed by right 1 identification sign per property. And that one is the electronic message sign that's out at Oakwood Avenue in the front of the property. The staff report endorses allowing the second identification wall sign, but not internally lit. So we're good with going with the staff on allowing that variance on the wall sign on that size. So number 2, we don't have any issue with. The number 3, dimensional variance. Again, staff supports that dimensional variance. So we're on board with that. Number 4, the dimensional variance for what I call directional signs, they call identification signs. What we're looking for is just to be able to have the size sign that allows the pertinent information that shows direction for the traveling and pedestrian traffic on site, well removed from the public exposure, so that we don't have conflict on the property that then spills out onto Oakwood Avenue, which is the current situation. So those are really the 4 key points. We're only concerned about number 2 and number 4. The other 1 and 3, well, 1, that use variance is the internal versus the external lighting. So I'll backtrack. 1, 2, and 4 are those issues. 3, the dimensional variance, staff supports. So I assume we don't need to argue that point. It's just the 1, 2, and 3, and you know, we have I think legitimate argument in why those are necessary in order to try and move the school forward. There's no net impact to the adjoining property owners. I think from our community meetings we've held and the response we've gotten from Chakirk, the Neighborhood Business Association, everybody wants to see this school succeed. And this is just one element of many things that they're doing, but this is the zoning side of what signage they've worked on in the past year they feel is necessary to fulfill their program.
Okay. Mr. Ruhlman, did you want to jump in there? I saw a hand
I
go up.
did. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Starkey. I wanted to, as the designer of the environmental graphic program here, I wanted to add some more information and some details around some of the challenges and sort of the proposal of certainly on point number 1 with the illumination, what we were considering. Hopefully, it helps to sort of alleviate some of the, I think, the issues, which is that, working with the sign manufacturers, we can actually set that on a timer. So the challenge really for that sign element was to provide illumination to that sign in an economical way that will illuminate the new entrance for the Mercy McCauley. So where that is situated is sort of a critical point on the campus to help identify. When you think about visitors visiting in the evening, many folks are traveling to the campus, coming for games, events, volleyball, basketball, right? In the winter, those are normally in the evening hours. It's getting dark. We think it's really important to add illumination to that sign, as well as kind of being the ceremonial entrance to, the facility there. So we can put that on a timer so that that goes on. It's really only going to be illuminated in hours that are sort of reasonable for sort of operating hours, and then that could shut off. So that was one way that we were thinking that maybe that would work to kind of, work with the issue of illumination.
When do you think would be the latest
I think that's a good question.
hour of the day? Yeah.
I think we do have events at night at the school. Obviously, we have games, we have theatrical productions. We were thinking like 10 o'clock.
Okay. And then would it be turned back on in the morning? I know sometimes it's dark in the morning in the winter as well. So
Yeah, I mean,
when does
even
school
right now,
start?
it's dark because we have kids who arrive at school at 6:30. So we would like to at least by 6:30, if not 6, just because we have kids who are dropped off that early.
Okay. Okay. Um, Thank you for that. Did anyone else want to say anything? And well, let me ask another question about the LED. As I look at sort of some of the cages and satellite images here, I do agree that the proposed sign location is set back pretty far from the right of way. And it looks like it's oriented, what is that, to the south?
Yes.
And I'm wondering if what your response is to any potential adverse light impacts for the residential properties to the west or the property to the south there. And maybe you could also tell me what that is. I don't know if that's some sort of event center or what that is there, or if that's part of the campus that you all have, but it looks like there could be some adverse impacts on that property.
That property was originally the Thompson estate, who owned Champion Papers. It is now owned by, I'll say, an older couple that do some events there, but reside in it as a single family house still. And we have the school has a great relationship with them, holding even events of the school in the property. They had hoped to provide a letter of support, but because they're somewhat, I'll call it housebound or whatever, challenged, they didn't make that happen. But the property is configured where the back building closest to the school is where the carriage house was. Today's standards would be, a car barn or a garage. And so the owner's residence over there, their bedroom actually faces that way, but they've said to Bridget and myself in a recent meeting that they don't see any net impact. Bridget, you could speak to it, that I believe they said they don't even see that part of the campus.
Yeah, they were very supportive. It's Judy and Larry Moyer. They live next door. They do host events there as well, frequently have weddings in the fall. The closest area, like Tim said, is the carriage house, and then the house is behind it. We looked from their porch, which is the back of the building, to our building, and it's almost impossible to see where the illuminated sign will go because of foliage and the carriage house as well. So they were very much in support. I'm sorry that we don't have a letter of support from them, but they were very supportive of it overall. And can I just say a couple of other things just to put everything in context? We have a fairly large campus for an all-girls high school of 375 girls.
I'm sorry, Ms. Foley. I just want to follow up on some of the points you just made while I have my screen shared here. You said their back porch. Is this all one property? Is that what you're talking about? Or,
yeah.
Okay.
And where your cursor is right now is the carriage house. And
Okay,
then,
over here.
and that's not residential. They don't live there.
Okay. And they don't live here.
No, it's the building
Okay.
it's the building to the right. That's their house. And so where that black roof is, that small, that's their porch there. And so we stood on their porch and looked at where the sign would be.
Okay. And the sign is proposed here, correct?
Yes, you got it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that I had that clear as you were talking about their back porch.
No, that was great.
Sorry.
That was
Sorry,
great.
go ahead.
I just wanted to say the other part, as Tim mentioned, we became a school officially in 2018. We were the result of 2 schools legally closing. And so we have struggled with enrollment until just about now. And so we are excited about, really promoting our brand a little bit more. It was very surprising to us when we realized we actually have no signage other than the electronic sign just off Oakwood. We have 0 signage on the building anywhere else. And so once you drive onto our campus, you have no idea where you are. And so we feel not only just, promoting to the community that there's a sense of permanence, that we're not going anywhere, that we have a sense of pride for our students and our families and prospective families. in the illuminated sign, but also directional signage because nobody knows where to park. They don't know where to park. They don't know where to go. We have an athletic field in the back. You can enter the gym from the front, but nobody knows. Every time I'm leaving school and there's a game, somebody stops me and says, "Where's the gym? Where's the auditorium?" And so that's the real reason we need these signs, because we want to make sure that people have a really positive experience on our campus, that they're not frustrated, and that it also feels welcoming and they know where they're going.
Yeah,
Um,
do you mind if I speak to that point regarding the directional signage, or is what you call the ground signage at this point, Mr. Sturkey?
sure, yeah.
Yeah. So as the designer, again, being brought on, the challenge was, as Bridget mentioned, was, as folks are driving in at a vehicular, right, standpoint, um, needing to know where to go at certain points along that drive was critical. And so, I think what was being proposed in the guidelines was more of a pedestrian level signage. And so the scale of those signs and having the letter heights be sufficient enough to be visible from, when you have to pull into that campus and make your decision, hey, do I need to continue on to go to the back of the parking lot, right, to park, or do I make my turn, left to go to the front of the campus? Like those decisions were needing to be, happen at a much further out level. So, these sign elements work kind of a two ways, right? Like first, they're working at a vehicular level, and then as individuals are moving, and that's why we were able to make the sign that's on the main portion of the front of the building there. We're able to make that a little bit smaller at kind of more of a pedestrian level. So, but really, it's really, I think, critical that those two larger signs um, that are proposed at 7 feet are, at scale for that sort of scenario.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. Those last signs you mentioned, that the
Mhm.
7 feet signs, that's this sign here and this sign here, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And, sorry, I'll try and zoom out a little more. And then this needs relief just because of the total number of ground signs, correct? This one complies with size
That is
and
correct.
illumination.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's a total of 4 new signs. And then this larger sign here on the wall that we've
Yes.
discussed.
And David, if I can just raise a point of correction, that non-lit ground sign that's closest to the building in the front,
Yeah,
if you move that southwardly on the other side of that concrete, what is a stairway going up in front of 435, the number 435, it's actually
Yeah.
just on the south side along the driveway. Uh, Go in front to the left of the 4.
Oh, it's down
Right
here.
there. Yes,
That's
that's really where that sign's going.
Okay. All right.
And that's really those stairs, just so you understand, those stairs in front of that 435, that was the old main entrance to the administrative offices. So it's paramount that people are directed to the other wall sign, not to the administration, because those doors are simply locked when events are going on.
Okay. So this is the new main entrance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got it.
It could be very confusing, I think, when somebody gets to the, without these sign elements, right? Because that looks like the front entrance. It's, obviously it was at one point. So,
Okay. Thank you all. Is there anything else you want to say before I give the public an opportunity? To
Yes,
weigh
if
in?
uh,
Sure.
Mike Fogel, if you could uh, explain what your, I guess, sign company owner provided you regarding the comparison of internal LED signs versus external floodlighting?
Absolutely. So in reference to the external LED, the signs, the internal illumination such as that of the channel letters or the cabinets is kind of the way that we say that those are built. So everything is contained within the letter. When we can contain a light inside of a letter, we have a lot more control of the light that is emitted from that product versus an external illumination, which we have no control of because that light, once it hits the sign, can reflect up, it can reflect on past. So when it comes to internal illumination versus external illumination, we feel as a sign company, not only is that the trend that's moving forward, we hardly make any signs that are externally illuminated anymore. And we are one of the, if not top three anyway, of the size of a sign company in the tri-state area. Those LED signs, the cabinets, the letters that we're talking, the logo, that light is way more controlled inside of a cabinet than externally illuminated.
Thank you.
And one more point, if I had on the letters versus the logo, we had the 4100 Kelvin quick mods in the logo itself, which is already stepped down light. And then you have that the color on the outside, which is going to knock it down even more. And then the Mercy McCauley letters, we have full bleed vinyl over top of those that is orange. So even though those are 7100 Kelvin lights, they're going to be considerably knocked down because of the full bleed of the orange vinyl. So you're not going to be getting any kind of a glare from those. It's going to be contained exactly to the letter and makes it a lot easier to read for the people that are coming to the events or to the school, whatever is going on.
Thank you.
Before we move to the public, just one more question. Could someone tell me how we arrived at the size of the internally illuminated sign? What was the calculus there to get to that size? And could your
I can speak
goals be achieved by maybe a smaller sign that's more compliant?
I can speak for us as far as when we scaled that area, that is about the smallest we could get to scale to that area where it would be readable. As you can tell, I mean, back from where this picture was taken, that's getting to the point even there that if you were to go any smaller, it may be difficult for some of the people to be able to see what that says and to know that, this is an entrance. So we scaled it accordingly. And then, because that is such a big building, it equaled out to that 212.8 square feet. But I think that when you look at that building, if you were to go any smaller, it's really going to look odd. If anything, it could be a little bigger, but I think this size works and it is proportionate to the building. And I think it adds a nice touch to the entrance to the front of the school.
Okay, thanks. Let's go ahead and you all will have an opportunity to respond to anything we hear from the public and from the planning department. Let's go ahead and move on to the public here. Mr. Weldeshofer, did you want to add anything to the discussion here?
Yeah. My wife Kate and we own the property at 6081 Bel Air Place, which is up to the north boundary of Mercy McCauley High School, 6000 Oakwood Avenue, the subject property. We have lived here for 37 years. McCauley High School and currently Mercy McCauley High School have been good neighbors throughout those years. They have contacted and informed us of all construction, renovation, and landscaping projects that might impact us and our property. Here again, we were invited to a presentation at the school on July 14th, 2025, about the new illuminated wall sign and instructional ground signs and their locations on the property. My wife, Kate, and I have no objections to any of the signs proposed. There is currently no prominent sign or logo to identify the school, and the new illuminated sign will do just that. In fact, we are glad that they are putting up the instructional / directional signs, as it is a large campus. And we, as past alumni parents, know that directional signage is needed for visiting relatives and friends of the students and the school who would be meeting a member of the staff or attending a sporting event, theatrical, or educational event. I believe the variance should be allowed.
Great. Thanks so much for your testimony and your perspective here today. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move on to Kate Meehan from the Planning Department. Kate, anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, David. I don't really have much to add beyond what is in the staff report. I think it was helpful to hear that the adjacent property owner that is closest does not have an objection to the lit sign. That was something that I can tell you I had a concern about, is what the light would be like for that adjacent property, since it is fairly close. The other thing is that Mr. Hirschner provided extensive examples of other schools in Cincinnati that do have signage, and certainly most of them have more signage than what Mercy McCauley currently has. So I did look at that. I did also conduct some of my own research, including looking at other nearby high schools like Elder, Seton, Aiken High School, to see what type of signage these other schools in the vicinity have. Certainly, many of them have a large wall sign. So we feel like that is something that many schools do have, and that appears to be, something that has been permitted by by right or by variances. I did find where Elder went through a variance process to have some very large signs installed. But one of the things, so for the ground signs, and we do call those ground signs because they don't meet the definition of an instructional sign. So an instructional sign is considered a sign that is no more than 4 feet tall and 6 square feet, and is used for like wayfinding or directional. Because these signs are taller, we have to call those ground signs. But the effect of them is essentially to provide wayfinding and instructions. But again, because of the size, we call those ground signs. So the school would be permitted to have an unlimited number of 4 foot tall, 6 square foot directional signs on the campus, and those would all be considered exempt signs. So I understand the request is for taller signs. Again, from my research, I did not find other variances where taller signs were granted on other campuses. Certainly there may be some, but I could not find permits or a situation where they went through a variance process, which is why I did not feel I could recommend for approval of those. But I appreciate Mr. Hirschner's research, and certainly, I did my own, but that was helpful in informing some of the decisions and seeing what it's like on other school campuses in Cincinnati as far as signage.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kate. Appreciate your testimony and your work on the staff report here. All right, I'll turn it back over to the applicants. Your opportunity to respond to anything you heard from the public or Ms. Meehan, and then any comments in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today.
Well, in closing, I'd like to summarize that we very much respect the staff report. We appreciate it. We understand it. My current position, full-time job, is a zoning plans examiner for Hamilton County. So I understand where Kate's coming from. But I also know a number of variances and how they move forward. And rather than have multitudes of 4 foot tall directional signs. I would think 2 of these signs that are 7 feet tall. The other one is approximately 4 foot tall. But to have only 2 signs that are 7 foot tall, that's like taking 2 directional signs and stacking them on top of one another rather than having multiples of those directional signs throughout the campus. I'm proud of what I've learned from the grounds committee and their research and design for these 2 7-foot tall signs, why they are the height they are, which by staff's comments make them ground signs. Personally, I don't care what you call them, they're signs, and the 2 7-foot signs I think are a reasonable variance to keep from having multiples of directional signs throughout the campus. If anybody else has something particular to say from the team, welcome it.
Anybody
Well,
else?
the 4-foot signs, those were fine when cars were 4 foot high, but we're talking now huge vehicles everywhere, and nobody can really see over the top of them and read the signs at 4 foot. I know. I was a parent of a student at Macaulay High School, and that was a problem, finding the entrance to the theater, finding parking, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I believe that's oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Real quick, just on our side of that, exactly to what Mr. Weishofer just said. We just completed 2 very large projects at 2 of the largest schools in our area, the Lawrenceburg High School and East Central High School. And just for that instance, the cars, like he said, are so big now that we did multiple location signs at both of those schools. And we have been reported back by both superintendents that it has been tremendously helpful for them to have the larger signs based on the larger vehicles. And that has extremely reduced the number of times that cars are making loops through their campus because they don't know where they're at, which was, again, is a common problem at a lot of schools. And both, like I said, both superintendents have reported back that has made a great impact on their traffic.
Great, thank you. Mr. Rowland, did you want to add anything before we close?
Yeah, again, I think it's just the size of the cars and being able to see over the cars again. That's a car line as you're pulling into the main campus in the morning. So, if you imagine cars lined up in that area, that's can be an issue. And then also on the back side of the campus there in the back parking lot, then as as that parking lot is filling up and all the cars are filling up in there, having that sign, stand above the cars was really important. It's orange, it's got the branding on it, it attracts the eye. It calls attention to itself so that, guests know where to go. We're basically just trying to create a program where we're signaling, hey, this is where folks need to go to get to the entrance, right? And gather information, kind of orient themselves. And so that was a critical piece to the design.
Sure. Okay. I think we'll leave it at that. Yeah, I appreciate everyone's testimony here today. I've had a chance to review the application materials, letter of support from the Community Urban Redevelopment Corporation, letters of support and testimony from neighboring property owners. And yeah, I think that based on all of that and the testimony here today, that I think it would be impractical to strictly enforce the zoning code of this application. A lot of these signs, this is a large campus. A lot of these signs, if not all of the signs that are proposed, are located deep within the campus. The main sign that gave me a little bit of pause was the illuminated sign, but I thought the testimony here today was compelling about the light spillage compared with external versus internal, and there may be some antiquated restrictions that haven't caught up with the technology in that regard. And so again, based on all of that, I'm going to approve the application. I need to formalize that approval in a written decision. I said at the beginning that typically takes about 2 weeks. I think that's probably a good estimate just based on the queue of cases and approvals that I have right now. As soon as I finish that, I'll put it into a PDF and I'll email it to everybody in the hearing here today. So you'll have a copy of that approval really just moments after it's complete. I will say that I may put some conditions of approval on the times of day that sign can be illuminated. It sounds like 6 or 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. There really is no discern practical need for that sign to be illuminated, and so that you may see that in there as well. But yeah, other than that, like I said, I'll email it to everybody as soon as you have that. Kate can do the zoning approval on her end, and you all can take the next steps. Any questions about any of that?
No,
Okay.
we're good. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
One second,
Sure.
sorry.
David, I do have one question. So once that variance is completed, then we'll still have to do the finalized sign permit as well, correct? Not just this variance portion.
Kate, can you speak to that?
Yes, that would be correct. So you would need to revise the building permit application to show all of these signs and the lighting, et cetera. So yes, if the building permit application does not have these current sizes, lighting, et cetera, then yes, that would need to be updated.
But if everything is on there as is of what we proposed, do we still need to get a finalized sign permit, or once the variance is submitted to us, we're good?
Right. If everything is correct on the application, once David has issued a written decision, I can then approve it.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And David, just to be clear, just so I know, you are approving all of the requested relief here today?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
With some possible conditions that I'll include in writing. But a preliminary approval, subject to some conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, well, if you all have any questions or just want a status update on where I'm at with the decision, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, look for an email from me within the next couple of weeks. And that's it. Have a great day. Good luck with the project.
Thank you
And,
so much.
Sure, we're adjourned. Bye, everyone.